Yesterday we saw about distant forms in in little in an introduction manner, unlike a detailed manner. So jumping back to the user interface, right? So I'll tell you, how a user interface look like. This top one that you see is what you call it as a banner. In the left side, whatever you see, you can either call it as a filter navigator or probably application navigator. So filter navigator is because you do filtering of things here, right? So you call it as filter navigator. Otherwise, you can even call it as application navigator, because all of these are in fact applications. Inside this, you have modules, right? So inside self-service application, I have home page, business application, dashboard, service catalog, and knowledge. So this happens like a toggle. Like I click on your, it gets closed, and if I again click onto it, it gets opened, and I see all of these inside this. So all of these are applications. Each one application will have several modules inside this. Right now I'm not going into detail of what each application does or what each module does, but on a general context, this application navigator is a repository where you can see all the applications, and inside that you will see the modules, right? And if there are so many, you can just use this filter option to type in what you want. There could be a lot of things available, right? It is difficult for you to search, so you can use this as a search functionality as well. And then you see something called star here, right? And the name itself says favorites. So uh, like how we used to bookmark in Chrome or in any other web browsers. Similarly, you can develop your own bookmarks inside the system itself, regardless of whichever device you connect. This bookmark, since it is stored inside the service now, you do not have to worry about, oh, which system or which device I'm logging in. It is there on your user record. Like, I mean, the bookmarks that you develop is there for your user profile. So let me tell you, how do you create a bookmark. Let us say I go to um, users, right? I'm going to use this because this is something that we have watched yesterday, so I thought it would be easier for you to relate to. So let us say I put up a filter, active is true, right? So uh, I found out that there is a list of users who are active is 616. So this is something kind of a report or data that I daily want to navigate to. So better what I would do is, there is an hamburger menu that you see, right? So I click here and I see something called create favorite, right? Create favorite. So I click here. So I can choose any of the color icons that I want to. So I'll choose yellow, and I'll probably give this icon or this icon, right? Okay, this icon I'll give. I can give anything. This is just for my reference. This is my favorite or bookmark. I can keep it in whichever color I want. I can keep it in whichever emoticon I want, and I can keep it in whichever name I want. Users. So I'll give it as active users, and done. So once this is done, you can see that if I go to favorites, I can see this active users appear, right? So you would have to create bookmarks or favorites whenever you feel like, okay, something that I need to access right away. You don't have to go to the table and put up filters. This is something that you can do it right away, right? That way it works. And I can also say you that um, let us say you have a module called my work, right? So instead of typing every single time my work, you want that also to appear inside of favorites. Then you go here and you see this star icon, right? So the moment you click here, what happens is it automatically gets added as a favorite here. So the module name is my work and it is under the application service desk. So system all automatically suggested its own name for this, and since it is a list of records, it has suggested its own icon in this way. But you feel like, oh, I don't like this icon, I want to change it. Now Once you go to this favorites bookmarks thing, on the bottom, if you can see my screen properly, on the bottom you see this pen icon, right? So you click onto this, it takes you a place where it says edit favorites, right? So this is where you can change things. You can change further, you can change the further logo and all of that. And clicking here will also make sure that you remove those favorites. So let me remove this favorite, right? So any questions with regard to favorites? Okay, I'll jump into the history, right? So in again in Chrome, comparing with the web browser, I told you how do you make bookmarks and how do you make favorites. Similarly, in any web browser, you have this option of looking at the history, isn't it? So similarly, in ServiceNow also you have this option of history. Let me reload it for you for better visibility. So here it shows a kind of a clock icon, and it says your history, right? So as the name suggests, it is your history, like whichever place you just went to, right? So 3 hours ago, so which is yesterday. So yesterday this screen you would be able to see only few records, like as in it will show up only the first 10 records or first 10 searches. So let us say in the same session we go to different modules of 100 modules, we click on 100 modules, but you will be able to, in history you will be able to see only the last 10 or last 20, only that much. So this is with regard to history, and I hope you're clear with favorites. And this is the place where you see all the applications, and inside that you see all the modules. So for developing favorites, you can either use icons like this, or else you go to a page and you set up a filter and all of that, and finally you can mark them as favorites as well. Now, if there isn't any question, I can go ahead and tell you how, as a company, let's say you work for a company, and for that client, you want to change the logo. As I told you, when ServiceNow gives you the instance, it gives you like this. This is the exact way ServiceNow gives you. So once you purchase the instance in the company, the initial requirements from the client would be, hey, I want to change my logo. I want to change the theme color similar to my company color. If you see, every brand and every company will have its color format. Like Coca-Cola will have red. So similarly, every company, regardless of the product, they will have their own theme colors. They will have their own logos, isn't it? So the first requirement is that they want to say, oh, we wanted to feel this instance like ours. So could you please change the logo and the captions and everything? So this is what they ask for. So coming back to where you would get access to change all of this is, all this is what you call it as basic configurations, right? So you go to basic configuration. So you type in basic configuration, you see something called basic configuration, and you see something called basic configuration UI 16. So let me give you an heads up about what is UI 16. UI, as in it says user interface, right? 16 represents version. Like, you know that right now we are in Quebec or Paris, right? Whichever instances are you in. So ServiceNow has evolved from, like, as you can see from alphabet wise. The first ever version of ServiceNow was Aspen, then Berlin. In each alphabet is has its own version, and right now in the past few versions are like Orlando, Paris, New York, and all of that. So you can see every single time they they bring up lot of changes, there is a chances that they will bring up UI changes also. So on such account, right now we are in UI 16. So there is always few advancements from what was the previous UI to current UI. The previous UI is actually UI 15. I'll give you a quick example of how does a UI 15 looks like. So on the right side you have settings, right? So here you see something called switch to UI 15. So let me click onto that. You will see how a UI 15 look like. So this is how an UI 15 was look like probably two versions back, and they developed this new UI 16 so that it is even more intuitive, and it gives you a better user experience. So here, if you see the way the favorites have been handled is different, and the history and all of that is little different. So the current user interface everybody uses is UI 16. So I recommend everybody to use UI 16 when they work on it. But I switched to UI 15 to show you as an example of how the previous user interface looked like in terms of ServiceNow. Now, I have told you about this filter navigator, or the application navigator, right? So this one is the banner. So in banner, you can see the company's logo and the company's caption, and you can also see, the user profile picture and the name. And when you click onto the name, you can also get into details like, profiles, impersonate users, elevate roles, logout. I think profiles is profiles and logout is something that you should be already knowing. I can get into details about impersonate users and elevate roles. With regard to impersonate user, right? In general English, what does impersonation means? Impersonation means you try to dupe, or you try to mimic a different person. You try to become a different person, right? So when it comes to service now, what do you think this impersonate word mean by? You are trying to impersonate, or uh, look the interface like some other person. So once you click onto it, it will ask you, oh, which person you want to become. So I'll give somebody, right. Mm, okay, there's somebody called Abraham Lincoln. So I'll switch to this user. So the moment I switch to this, the user interface gets completely changed, and it will become like how that how when Abraham Lincoln sees his profile, he'll get something similar to that. And let me switch it to some ITL user. There is a user record called ITL user itself. You will not have such records, user records, in your company instance. This is a demo instance. So they give you names like this. So I click on ITL user. So you can see what an ITL user can see. You can completely see difference in list of navigations it was previously having and currently. You can clearly see the difference in list of modules available. For ITL users, the list of modules available is definitely less. Right, for admins it was very big. The list was going too long. For ITIL, this is the maximum list of modules that they have access to. So this impersonation option is available only for admins. Otherwise, there is a role called impersonate user. So if somebody is given that role, it will be available for them. So this impersonation option is not available for anybody else, right? Sometimes in organizations, they give this impersonator access to people who works in service desk, because service desk is one place where people reach out for their basic queries, right? So they'll say, oh look, my time, my settings are not correct, I cannot navigate to something, few basic things. Of course, ServiceNow admins or developers are the people who address issues, but uh, since this is a tool, so the service desk in an organization also will be given some knowledge transfer in order to troubleshoot very basic issues of the customers. Like people will say, hey, I don't know how to go to my works because I'm new to this instance, can you please teach me? So few things like that, people will call up the help desk, or they'll ring up to the help desk. So it is important for help desk also to know some basic information of the tool. Considering ServiceNow is some tool that every organization use as a front end for the customers or the users. So few organizations also give this impersonator user access to the service desk members as well. Any questions on impersonate? Okay, I'll jump into elevate roles. Elevate roles is something. See, as an admin I have got all the roles, right? But why does it say elevate roles is because there are few roles that we can design such a way that it will not be available right away. In order to get that role, you will have to click on a button, and here you can say it says security admin, right? So as you can read from here, so elevating to this role will help you get a higher privileges with regard to configuring access controls. Regarding security admin I will explain later, but to give you the concept of what is an elevate roles is, so let's say you give somebody 10 roles, okay? So in that 9 roles you want to give them by default, like whenever they log in they will get that 9 roles by default. But that 10th role is something that you find it special, and you don't want to give it to the user right away. You want to have an extra step before they get the access to the role. As in anytime they log in, the functionalities or configurations regarding that extra 9 roles, they will be able to see it by default. But the 10th role is something special, so you don't want to give it to them right away. So you want to give this information to the user that, hey, look, you're going to get that extra role. I sure you want to get it. That extra level of step is something that is required, right? So people have to deliberately click on yes, grant me this access, and okay. Only then for that session, until they log out, they will be given that specific role. I hope you would have some basic understanding of what elevate role is now. But in future sessions when we explain user administration in detail, I will be able to explain further on elevate roles. At that time, this little understanding will help you there. Okay. So now we have seen this favorites, bookmarks, and the history similar to how we have it in Chrome browsers. And now, when you say Chrome browser or Google search, like you can search anything, right? You can search anything on the web. That is what you call it as a Google search or any internet search. Like that, if you want to search anything inside of ServiceNow, then you can use this global search. As the name suggests, if I hover, it says global search, right? So, as the name suggests, it's a global search inside of the instance, not anywhere outside. Like it will not bring information somewhere from the internet. Instead, it will bring the information anywhere stored inside the ServiceNow instance. So, let us say I want to search a incident number. So, I can just put the incident number 123. It will take me to that incident number. Otherwise, I can also search, um laptop. So when I search laptop, it will give me list of uh, knowledge, incidents which has keyword laptop. It will give me list of change request which has keyword laptop. And yeah, so it will give me list of articles which has the word keyword laptop in it, right? So people might want to check, hey, I have an issue in my laptop, something like that. Upgrading to Windows, right? That which is also relevant to laptop. And some people might want to request for a new laptop for their business use. So all these related searches, it will come up there, so they do not have to worry about navigation. Oh, how do I go to raise a new request? So in just click of a search, they'll be able to get them all. So this is with regard to global search. And this is something I explained before yesterday as well. um, so there is a option of chat. So let us say you and your colleagues, everybody has an instance access, right? So let us say able tutor is your colleague. So you start up a new conversation, and in this new conversation you want to chat with Mr. Able tutor. Hey, hi, how are you doing? So this able tutor will be able to get this pop up, like when this man logs in as instance, he will be able to get your messages. So you can use this even as a internal messenger tool. So you can use chats like this. You can paste screenshots. You cannot share your screen inside service now, but you can use it as a chat option, as in sharing attachments and sharing messages between your colleagues inside the system. So it is important for them to have a user record inside the system so that you could send them a message. That is with regard to chat. And then I can show you, what is this toggle help sidebar. So for everybody, right, for a developer, for admin, for some end user, for everybody, they might require some help. Require some help. For example, let us say I go to incidents, right? So they might require an help. Okay, so how do I proceed from here? So anytime you feel or something, I don't know, you can always click on user guide. So it will take you to some basic documentation of what these are the informations, right? So I click on user guide. So there are some already documented stuff inside of ServiceNow to teach you regarding list, how does a form work, how does a workspace work, what is a visual task board, and all of that. So workspace, visual task board, and all, we will cover it up later. But we already had a session on list and form, so I'll show you, right? I'll show you in terms of form. So I click on form overview. See, similar to how I teach to you, ServiceNow itself has documented an article which can tell you how does a form look like and what do you call it. Like this A is there, right? You call it as a form header, and all of these, this number, caller, location, all of this is something you call it as a field. And then these are the sections, and this is a related list. So likewise, it tells you what is a section, what is a related link, what is a related list, and all of that. So they have some pre-documented stuff that you can look up on any place you feel, oh, I don't know what is this, something like that. In addition to our our documentations, you can also use this. And this user guide is something that is freely available for everybody inside the instance. You could be an admin, you could be an end user, you could be an ITIL user, regardless of. Okay, so this is how you make use of your search guide. And then settings, coming back to settings, let me explain this in detail, right? So some people during the screen share something, they want to compact the user interface. So they can go to general. So in setting itself, you have different varieties: general, theme, accessibility, list, forms, all of that. So well, let's go one after the other. In general, so the moment you click onto that, the interface gets a little shrinked up, because some people are habituated that way. So they wanted a compacted user interface. So this gives you the option to enlarge few things and bring few things in compact. Compact list date and time is something, wait, I can show you like this. So this is something a date and time, and this is something a date and time, right? So excuse me. So I give one compact list date and time. So you can see that it got changed, right? uh, it is right now 22/7 2019 14/4, and you can see how much space it had taken. It has taken probably like some 4 inches or something. So when you undo that, it takes even a larger space. It's got expanded, and it included the seconds also, and it took more space to display that. This is all just you would like to have. And this keyboard shortcuts are something like control s. You would have some default keyboard shortcuts, right? If you want those shortcuts enabled, you have to enable this one. And this is something, once you log in, where the system wants to take you. System wants to take you to home page, or the system wants you to take to dashboards. That setting is where you give it here. And in date and time, you want to show the calendar, or you want to show time ago, or you both. So I'll show you what is time ago. Time ago means it will not show you date and time. It will just tell you 2 years ago. Only when you hover, probably it will give you that extra information. Some people always prefer both. So in both, you can see, right, it gives you date and time plus time ago. So this is all basic user preferences and time zone, which time zone are you in, accordingly it gets changed. And okay, so we do not have anything for Indian time zone, right? Yeah, you can create your own in user profile. I'll tell you how do you create extra time zone entries. So this one has on a common America, Canada, Europe, right? It only covers EST and PST, but there's no IST. So that can also be brought on. So you can switch your time zones in here. And this printer friendly version, the click of it, it gets a screenshot of this page, right? So you click on the printer friendly version. So whatever is the record behind, it takes a printable format. So people can go ahead and print this. This is all with regard to general settings. Again, with theme, I think this is self-explanatory. So you want to change the theme and the look of your instance. So you go ahead with this. You can see, right, the moment I choose rose, so everything, the theme and the color, everything got changed up. And in accessibility, so there is something called data visualization, which will appear on reports. This I will explain in detail when we cover reports. List. Okay. So as the name suggests, right? So let us say I bring description here. Description is definitely a large text, right? Description always has. Okay, let me take a record where I have a bigger description. So, so I uncheck this. So what happens is it does not get wrapped. So only when you hover it comes up, right? So when you have fields like such longer, you want to wrap the text or not is what that kind of options you can make use of this place. This is with regard to list. And with regard to forms, okay, I can show you what is tabbed forms and all of that. So I had open up this incident, right? Let me open it on the same page. Okay, now let me change the view, because in self-service view always the amount of data will be less. So always change the view to default view. So yesterday, I explained you how do you change your view, right? So you click onto the hamburger menu, you click on view, and you go to default view. So default view is always a default view which has larger amount of data on the screen. So you could see that it has lot of fields, but it's kind of time taking, when you have to scroll down too much, right? It's kind of little irritating. So how you can change your settings is that, so you enable tabbed forms. The moment you enable tabbed forms, you can see that it becomes tabs. I no longer have to scroll down, but instead I just have to switch between one section to other, right? Let me disable tabbed form. You can again see what it becomes, right? It becomes, it is no longer sections tabbed, it is untabbed, meaning it goes one beneath the other. So you'll have to scroll down to navigate from one record to other. So which is definitely a time taking process. So a lot of people prefer to have tabbed forms. The other one is related list loading, right? So what you call it as a related list is, this is your form, right? Incident form, and you have further information of the incident here. So all these are coming from incident table, but there are also would be few tables which are connected to incident, but does not reside on the incident table. So all these information you will see it in the related list. So all these are list, isn't it? You do not have data here, but I'm telling you, but these are list, isn't it? So you call them as a related list. So this related list, how you want the loading to be? You want the loading to be with the form or after the form loads or on demand? So if I give on demand, what happens is, let me refresh the screen for you to explain how it loads. So now you no longer see that related list. So because we have given the option, I want to see it only on demand. So only when I click on load related list, at that time the related list will appear. So accordingly, these few settings you can change it. But understanding the backend, why people require this, because some people would have some bad internet connection, or some for some few logic they would expect, okay, I don't want to see the related list all the time, I want to see it only if I need it. So at that time people tend to keep this option. Again, notifications, you get a lot of notifications, right? In Gmail, there's an option for you to unsubscribe, right? It will tell you click here to unsubscribe from from our future notification. Similarly, like that in ServiceNow also, you can always choose to unsubscribe which you don't like. For example, let us say when somebody puts a comment on the ticket, you get a notification, right? So you feel, oh, I don't want to get that notification. So you can always enable and disable the setting which you want to change and which you do not want to, right? Change commented, so this is the notification name. So if I uncheck it, it means that I no longer want to receive these notifications, right? It's called unsubscribing and subscribing. So you have this option, and this also is available for developers, admins, and normal users, everybody, because notification is something which requires for everybody, right? And this developer option is available only for developers. This will not show up for anybody else. This again I'll explain in detail. uh, we do not have to get it confused at this point. Any confusion with regard to the filter navigator, the banner frame, so all these components in the banner frame, any of these, any question, let me know, I'll give it in another few seconds. All right, then if you're good, we could we could get started with the next one. So, as I told you, right, we were about to talk about basic configuration. That is how we jumped into this settings and UI and all, right? So, again, get back to this basic configuration. So, you go to basic configuration UI 16. So, there it opens up a page. So, all these are really self explanatory. You do not have to worry much or memorizing anything. So, you go here and you can update, see, this is your page, right? So, header caption. So it says service management. Let me change it to ServiceNow training um, demo instance, right? And then logo, I can change it to um, right now. I can change this banner image. So you'll have to be careful of what size and all of that. So since the image that we chose is a little leaner, it become like this. You can see, and you can see that ServiceNow training demo instance also got changed, right? And what is the date format you wanted to keep for people, like these are the list of formats available, you can choose any of these. And time formats, of course, you want to keep them 24 hours or 12 hours. So this settings that you change will apply once for all, like it will go and get updated for everybody. And later once, if people want, they can customize their settings, like, no, I don't want to keep it like date month format, I want to change it. So all of this, people can change it, the time zones and everything. Stripe color, I'll give it as this one. You can see what is the stripe color, right? So underneath this training demos instance, there is one divider, right? So if you want to change the divider stripe color, so all these might look like a small thing for you, but whenever a company purchase a new instance, they concentrate very much that this instant is color coded and font coded with their company terms and conditions. So every company, as I told you, every company has its own color codes and formats. So the first thing they would do is change all of these settings.
Ma'am,
Yes.
do company provide white labeling uh, if somebody asks for it?
Okay. So when you say I mean, what do you mean by white labeling here?
It means there will be no name of service now, there will be name of X company.
Right, right. Yeah, that is possible. I will tell you. So I will tell you how do we change this name. Uh, this is something like when you purchase itself, you will have to ask the company, ask the service now that oh, we want to purchase it on so and so name. Let us say you purchased on the name SAB, okay, something like SAB because SAP. But afterwards, for some reason, the company itself changed the name, right? There are some few starts with a one name and jumps into another name, right? At that time, as a
Mhm.
developer, we also have access to it. I will get to that. I've marked your question. So your question is how do we change our instance URL?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
काय काय केलं?
So all these are self-explanatory. You can just play around to understand. If I change this one, where does the color changes and all of that. So you can see, as and when I change it, so the navigation separator, this color changes, this color changes, this color changes, and you can also change the text also here. So here, where is it? Yeah, the banner text color is right now in white, right? So I can change it to something in blue and all of that. So once you do all these, you have to make sure that you give it a save. So only then it reflects in the place. Otherwise, when you refresh, it all goes wiped off. Okay, so this is with regard to basic settings of your logos and your the color themes and all of that. And besides, people also have access to change their theme like this. Like it is user preference. They can change their theme like this. Theme is I believe you understand. Theme is different, and all these settings are different. Theme setting is available for individual users regardless of their roles. Whereas these are the things that only ServiceNow admins or developers could do, right? So that is clear. We will jump into forms and list. So before I jump into forms and list, I think I would like to explain what is the incident, what is the change, and what is the problem for people who are either freshers or for people who are new to IT. So the concept of incident, change, problem, and all would be relevant or already aware for IT people, but this is in the interest of the people who are fresh, right? So all these that I've explained you now is available in your documents. You do not have to take notes as I've already told you. Right. Okay. So for the freshers and the people who are new to IT, so any company you go, they all follow a process called ITIL, IT Infrastructure Library. So these ITIL concepts are to give you in a way. So you have concepts like incident management, problem management, and change management. So when I say incident, whenever you see a word called incident, just replace it in your mind with another word called issue. issue or some concern, that you have to report to the management or the organization. Let us say you have your laptop is not working. That is in fact an issue, right? Because if your laptop is not working, you will not be able to work. Or else let us say you're not able to log into ServiceNow, you're not able to log into uh, a particular tool. That also impacts the business, right? Because if you cannot log in, you cannot do that work. That again impacts the team and the business. So that is an issue. Let us even say, the water is not running in the bathroom taps or in the pantry. In the pantry there is something issue. So that is also, you call it as an issue. It might not be inside of IT, but this is something, it is an issue, right? Inside of the organization, it is an issue. So that is also, you call it as an incident. So, to give you a few more examples, like you want to access a printer which is inside your cubicle or your floor, but the printer is not working. So, you want to definitely explain it to somebody and you want somebody to fix that, right? So, you don't know whom to fix, whom to reach and what to do. So, always one step solution is you go and create an incident, right? Instead of service now, you have a module called incident. There you have to submit a ticket. So as I told you in the previous classes, everything is called a ticket here. Based on the type, it could be an incident ticket or it could be a change ticket or it could be a problem ticket. So you have to raise a ticket. You will be getting a unique auto generated number, INC 12345, that. So once the ticket is created, your job is done. Somebody will look at the inside of the ticket, your concern, and have that addressed. So from the moment the ticket is created to the moment uh, to the issue is resolved, there is a process or there is a workflow that is intertwined or linked. So that all comes under configuration. But for now, for you to understand incident, whenever you see a word called incident, just replace it in your mind with a word called issue, right? So a problem, what is a problem is something, whenever the same issue repeats again and again. So you feel that, uh, let's say the server is down, okay? One time it happens, somebody fixed it, fine. Again it is happening, and it is strange that it is happening every Friday, every Thursday, something like that. So if it is happening again and again, then it means that that issue is temporarily fixed, isn't it? The people who fixed that issue for you just gave you a workaround. They did not give you a permanent fix. So there is something that is still left unanswered. So you identify that, oh, that's a problem. Like, I mean, if something is reoccurring, it is not something easy, that we cannot take it a little easy. You have to definitely identify the root cause of the incidents, right? So when a same issue happens 3 times, you can call that as a problem. Or if that there is something, a major issue, that you can call it as a problem. So you have a certain process or a workflow to work on a problem, and how do you fix that problem. In order to fix that problem, you can even involve multiple teams, right? Let's say you have a server down, which is happening again and again. So you can invite different teams from different verticals also to fix the issues. Because always one team could be dependent on other, right? You can involve the other teams as well. And at this point of time in problem, it is important for you to identify the root cause. Because all these time and all these months you have given giving fixes whenever issue occurs. But unfortunately the same issue occurs again and again. So definitely you have to find a root cause for it and give it a permanent fix, right? So now I say that you give a fix, right? Permanent fix, or you give a workaround. So that means that you do some changes to the configurations or to the settings of the instance, right? You change something in the instance. So anything such like that, you change anything to the configurations of the organization. Meaning you install up a new server, you restart a new server, or you restart an old server, or you change anything inside of ServiceNow also, it needs to be tracked. The upper organization demands to have a structure where they can see which thing in my company was changed when. right? So they are installing a new server. Company wants, at any point of time, company wants to know what are the servers that has been installed in the last 1 month. Or I can say, what are the things that has been changed in ServiceNow application in last 1 month? What are the things that has been changed in Salesforce application last 1 month? Everything they will get to know inside of change management. So change, so as I told you, incident is a ticket, right? Again, problem is a ticket. So you understand when you would raise an incident ticket, when you would raise a problem ticket, right? Accordingly, when you are planning to do any change, change to any of the configuration item. When I say configuration item, it could be a laptop, it could be a server, it could be an application itself. So ServiceNow itself is an application, right? A tool. So like that, you can change anything, but you will have to make sure that you have a change request logged for that, and it will have its own workflow, right? So change record is something that helps you to record and document all the changes that you have done. Now there's something called release management, right? So you've done the change, but you want to take it to another instance, or you want to release that change. So you will have to follow a procedure in the release management. So all these I will explain inside of ServiceNow. But before that, it is important for you to understand the definitions of what is what and which is what. Any questions on what is an incident, change, or a problem to the freshers and as somebody new to IT? If there's no question, we can jump into the further configurations of the form in the list. These are basics. Like, I mean, if you have some questions unanswered here, it might give you some trouble in the future. As in, any questions so far? All right, I take that as a no. And with that, we will go to incidents, right? So under the incident applications, so you have several modules. So let me click onto the module that says all. So what is this all is nothing but it takes me to incident record, list of incident records with no filters put up. So again, as the name says, right, it is self-explanatory. So if I click on assign to me, it takes me to the list of incidents with a predefined filter, which is active is true, assigned to a system administrator. System administrator is nothing but it's me, right? Okay. So with regard to list and forms, so here, you have these options of filters for you to filter up, and you see 20 records at a time. So let us say you want to change it this way, like you want to show 100 records at a time, you can still change it. So I will leave it to you to analyze what are the things that you have it in this show, refresh list, and create favorite. Create favorite is something that I've already explained. And let's say you want to group by assign to. So you can do group by assign to here. Otherwise, you can also always use this option of right click on any field. I do a right click on this field and I do group by assignment group. Now my grouping changes. My grouping now got reset to group by assignment group. So explore
Hello.
all these available. Yes, yeah.
Oh, can you repeat this again because my internet lost
Hmm.
connection. I lost my internet connection.
Okay. Did you had any questions with regard to what is an incident, change, and a problem?
No, I'm done with everything.
Okay.
That change in change management and everything.
All right. So this one, so here we have modules, right? So when you click on all modules, as the name suggests, you do not get any predefined filters. Whereas when I go to assign to me module, it gives me records with predefined filters, right? So this way you can easily navigate through. So let's say you want to go to the list of open tickets which are unassigned. It has its own predefined filters. This is all for you, easy navigation. Now, jumping into the larger context of what is a list look like, here you have this filter option, right? So you know how to use a filter. And right now, I'm seeing 66 records, right? I don't like this idea of scrolling down. So you can change the records, how many records I want to show per page. I say, oh, I want to see only 10 records. So I'll see it as first 10 records. and I'll use this next page. Takes me to the next 10 records, so like this. So this is something, a user functionality. Also, I've explained you already what is a favorite. And here you have an option of group by, right? So if you want to group by assign to, you want to list down, group by records based on assign to. You can do it like this. Otherwise, across every field, you always have option to do a right click. So you do a right click, and here also you have an option to do group by assignment group, or I can say group by state, right? Group by state. So all these options I would want you to explore and identify. I will also give you a quick, understanding of what else can be done. So let me do ungroup. So after doing ungroup, so you see other options being bar chart, pie chart. As the name suggests, the moment you click in, system automatically creates a chart for you with whatever is the filter that you have already applied. In this place, we have not applied any filter. So it's going to show up all the 66 records. So it takes us to a report page, and it automatically creates a chart because we did create chart, create pie chart on the state field, right? So it has did charting based on states. Like that, you can change a lot of things. At one of the chapters, I will explain about reporting, where I will detailedly explain you what are the types of report, how do you build a report, and how do you modify them. But this is just on a glimpse because it appears here, right? So it might lead you to a question, oh, what is this bar chart, bar chart, and all, bar chart and pie chart, all of these. And export, you want to export this data in this format, this format. So all these you can choose. And okay, let us say you identify the records that are unassigned. So there are 14 records, right? So you want to bulk assign all of these tickets to your team. So what you do is you go here, click on shift, right? Click on shift, and down arrow, so that it gets multi-selected, and you can change all of them at one go. So it says 10 rows will be selected, right? So I can assign all these to one specific person. So these are the options that you have, inside this, and there are several other options also I can explain, going forward. But upon your self interest, I would recommend you to, investigate each options and post me a question tomorrow if you have doubt in any specific thing, so that I can explain them in detail. Any confusions with regard to this list view? If you're good, I can explain further on the form.
Name the bar chart and pie chart are there. No? Hello.
Yes, yeah.
So we do have bar chart and pie chart now in options. So are going to do any customizing there, or it is only for statistics, like how many incidents arrive
Yeah,
and that way?
yeah, yeah. It is for statistics, it is for reporting to managers, or team managers, or admins, like top administration or middle management. They want to see reports, right? Like how many were resolved, how many still unassigned, all of these reports. So these charts are for reporting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I have just give you a glimpse of, oh, okay, so you have an option called bar chart, pie chart, you can make use of this. But reporting is, again, we
Okay.
have it in the future, one of the details, one full day session to help you understand how do you develop reports.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so jumping into incident form. So these are all you call it as buttons, and these are all you call it as related link, and this is something that you call it as related list, right? So what is the difference between this three boxes and these three tabs? What is the difference between these three tabs and these three tabs is these are sections of the same incident form. So if you see, you have a field called resolution notes, right? This field is stored in this table only, incident table only, not in some other table. Whereas all these information like configuration item, configuration item managed by, owned by, approval group. All these are stored in different table. It's not same table, but somehow they are linked to this table. So that is what is the difference between this. More than incidents, I will show it to you in users. That will make you to help, that will help you to understand better. User administration, I'm jumping into users. I'll go to Abel tutor, and in parallel I'll also open up the system admin user record. That delay. Okay, so I will switch it to self-service view or ITIL view. Right, so you can see, 1 minute. I've right now switched it to default view, right? So you can see the list of differences. So these are the sections that we created yesterday, you remember, right? So these fields, location, state, and all of that is part of user table only. It is not something that is coming from a different table. Whereas if you see these roles and groups and all is coming from a different table. So I told you in previous sessions, whenever you're whenever you're accessing ServiceNow, you will have to be careful of what is the URL, right? See, sys underscore user, right? Which represents user table. Let me open any one of these records in a new tab. Now it tells me that the table name is user role, right? So it clearly tells you that, oh, this table is different, this table is different. This table name is user, this table name is user role. So again, this record, right? I click here and I click on open new window. This again, the table name is group members. So all these are different tables. So you call them as related list. Like these are different tables, but some way they are related to this record. So you call them as related list, whereas these are sections, meaning it is just nothing but the data of this record only, but you wanted to categorize. Look, these are my location details, these are my contact details. So you want to categorize. So you make use of sections. Is there any confusion with regard to what could be a section and what is a related list?
Madam, could you please repeat again?
Okay. Sections. Yesterday we developed sections, right? So what did we do? We did right click, configure, form design, and we only created these sections and all, right? So all these we did it in user table only. The table you can see it as it's user table only. So any detail that you see it in sections is nothing but it is from same table. Whereas related list, so what do you call these as? You call these as related list, right? So these are not data from the same table. It is instead from a different table. For example, all these user roles are stored in a table called user roles table. Uh, but why is it? Why do you think it is showing up here? It is showing up here because it has some connection with this user, right? So these are the roles associated to the user. So that is the connection established. These are the roles associated to this user. So as the name suggests, these are related list. The related meaning you can say use the word relationship. There is a relationship with this table and this table, but these are two different tables, right? I'll repeat again. These are called related lists. So wherever you see the word related, you can translate it in your mind with the word relationship. So there is a relationship between this table and this top table, and there is some field that is common between them. So those are the data that appears here. You got it right. You can even say relevant records.
Okay, so you mean to say each section we can consider as one table, and each section we do have number of tables associated with each other, right?
Okay, this related lists are different tables, but section is nothing but grouping. Section is categorizing or grouping the fields. See, these fields I could have kept it here also, just to show it a little extra and fancy. We created a new section, right? We just named a new section. These are not from different tables, these are from same table only, whereas related lists are different tables.
Okay, okay.
Also, what is the relationship between these related lists and that user? You
Okay,
said
so the
somewhere it got connected, right?
correct. So the relationship between user and user roles is, you can see this predefined filter. So the table name is user has role. The table name is user roles. So in that, what is the connection is user is able tutor. That is the relationship, right? Does it answers? You got the relationship between user table and user roles table. User column is the relationship. That is the
Yes.
common. And coming to groups, in groups, you have nothing much. In group members, just group and user, right? So let us take Mr. David Lu. What are the groups he's connected with? These are the 6 groups. So if you go to this Mr. David Lu's profile, in related list, you can see group 7, right? Whereas Mr. Abel Tutor is not part of any groups, that is why it is not showing anything. Whereas for David Lu, we have 7 groups mapped. So the connection between groups and user table is, there is one field called user, right? In this table, you have two fields, groups and user. So this is the common thing between this table and that table. Accordingly, delegates and subscriptions and all of that. Is that clear? All right.
Yes.
All right. So I think if there's no other questions, we're good for today's session. So as part of today's session, I have some kind of a workshop or exercise for you. So from today onwards, we'll start up with the exercises. Um, so to the admin team, you for all of you, step one, you create an account for me. You create a user account for me with admin role, right? Probably you can give username as trainer and give some dummy password. Uh, give the password as just password, right? Don't give anything fancy, just give password so that it is easy for me to access all of your instances. So you create a user account for me and share your developer instance URL with the admin team. Um, and afterwards, so what are the things that I want you to do is change the basic configuration, like as in the color, header, and all of that. I want you to change it. And also form design of incident or user form. Take it anything of your choice. So these are the 2 things that are in exercise for you today. And obviously, and I want you to create an account for me in your all of your individual instances, so that I could validate if you've done or not. So make sure this is done tomorrow's class. So probably around 8:30, I will review all of your instances, and if you are good at 9 o'clock, we'll get started with the usual session as per routine. So this exercise details, you will all be receiving in emails or via chats from admin. I will draft it up like a Word document or something, and ask them to share it with all of you across.
So tomorrow in the sense Monday or what? Saturday only.
Monday. Next class is on Monday.
So okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from anybody?
You share document for this practice.
Yeah, you will receive it from the admin once you're enrolled.
Yeah.
So meantime, if we have any questions, whom do we get contact with?
Okay, so I'll ask the admin. So there's plan of creating a WhatsApp group as well, or we will have a Telegram or some common group that will all be able to connect with. So
Mm-hmm.
all these details you will get to know. Um, Probably, yeah, you will get to know by end of today.
Sure thing.